Ladies and gentlemen, soccer fans here in St. Louis and around the world, hola, and welcome to another episode of Atletico TV. I'm one of the hosts, Josh McGee, joined as always by our two coaches, Luis Swisher and Ricky Garza. Excited to be back here with another episode this week. Lots to get to, lots to recap, and again, very excited to some of the new things we'll have here on today's show. First off, Ricky, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm glad to be back each week.
Exactly. You had a good weekend? Everything's been going good?
Yeah, the guys have been playing well. I think we're on a 4 or 5 game winning streak right now. Going into later Monday night, we play to clinch the region seed. So they get the job done Monday. We'll be happy on Tuesday.
Well, congrats on that. And kind of goes with the theme right now of stuff going on here in St. Louis, successful clubs. Speaking of which, Luis, again, you guys were in action over this weekend, coming off a really good weekend, I think, previously, a couple weeks ago. How did things go?
I think it went well overall. I mean, now it was my turn. The 90s, result-wise, didn't do good. We lost 3-2, but all the academy teams, they got good performance, good results, and so it was good. Even my guys, even though they lost, I mean, we got 2 goals on an open night 40 yards away, so I mean, it's one of those days that you think that it will never happen, but it happened. But the guys, I have, I was a little bit frustrated because the effort and the way that they performed, it wasn't for a game. And unfortunately, because trying to win the game, we got distracted and got a late goal at the end of the game, which is a good team. The bad part is that was my frustration. We haven't been able to beat them in the past 10 months. So this is our 3rd game and we fail again. So that's up to me. And then just keep rolling. But performance wise, it was good.
Well, as long as you continue to see the development, I guess that's a really important part of it. And I'm really excited here. Coming up in this show, we're gonna have a little bit of a tactical breakdown of some of the stuff that you do with your team, and really excited to debut that here on this episode. But guys, I want to start off the episode here talking about a topic that we kind of touched on a little bit because we weren't really sure how it was going to play out on the day of, and that was last Monday. The Euro Super League announcement had come the previous day, where 12 of the biggest clubs in Europe had announced that they were going to break off, form their own league, play midweek matches, basically be a replacement for the Champions League in itself. And again, in terms of just removing themselves from the picture potentially, because UEFA and FIFA had been promising bans for teams that were going to leave, bans from their domestic leagues, from cup competitions, and also potentially from representing the national team, some of these players at the World Cup. Well, the following day on Tuesday, following protest at the Leeds-Liverpool match and also a big protest before Chelsea's match versus Brighton, it seemed like the pressure was able to work. A few of the Premier League clubs, Manchester City, Chelsea, began to draw up, I guess, documents and things of that nature to pull out of that league. And by the end of that day, most of the teams had left. I believe there are a few still who have not officially pulled out. I believe it's Real Madrid, Juventus, 1 or 2 of the La Liga clubs, I believe, as well. But for the most part, the Premier League clubs have left, and a few of the other clubs have left. And the plan has been put on hold. And there was a lot of reaction. A lot of former players on big-time programs came out against this plan. Obviously, UEFA and FIFA, who aren't exactly working partners, came out against this plan, and I just want to get your guys' thoughts. I kind of already spilled my guts out on it on my show, the Gateway to Soccer show. If you guys want to go check that out, I'm pretty much against it. As a fan, is where I come from. But you guys play, obviously, here in America with your teams. You've been a part of different leagues. You've seen changes to those leagues over the years. And in terms of the American soccer system and what this was proposal, I do see a lot of the bad things that kind of coexist between the two. But I want to get your guys' thoughts on it first. Ricky, what did you think of this proposal?
Well, I kind of agree with the Barcelona head coach who had said, he had kind of already just kind of pushed this away a little bit and wanted to say that UEFA, now it's time that you start listening to the clubs with all of these games. This would have just, UEFA is upset because someone's a competitor to them, but there's no one to police UEFA. I don't like this league idea. I mean, you need to support your league in your home area and stay there. And the Champions League does work, and it's exciting. But then what did UEFA do? It added more teams in it, extended more games. So the good and the bad, this was bad, but hopefully the good will come out. And now UEFA will now listen and try to make their teams happy because now they can see that there's other options down the road.
Luis, this is a tough situation because as Ricky's talking about, I think that people first off heard and said, "Wait, UEFA? I mean, they're not perfect here. We're not. There's no real hero in this situation. They have their own problems to deal with, a lot of different issues. But in terms of the fundamental aspects of the game and also working on those issues, you kind of need these bigger clubs involved to help on that front. And for them separating themselves and completing this entirely different league, what were your thoughts on the announcements and the events of the past week?"
I mean, right away you can say, well, I think it starts with the bad planning from the Super League owners. I will say I don't disagree at all about the league. I disagree about the ways of what they're doing and what they're trying to do. The game, yes, is for the fans. If we do have another competition platform, you can argue and saying, is it because you're going to give another competition platform or you want to replace something that it is? So there's many ways of seeing it. The way I see it is if we are replacing UEFA competitions, then it's bad because this is inclusive about other teams having. If I'm a low tier, I want to have and compete in order to get into that. If it is something that is an extra, then you can argue. Because I remember when I used to play, they did that in Central America. It was fun because I was doing jokes about we even got that before in Central America, before even in Europe. We did it was called not the Super League, but it was called the owners the top clubs of each country in Central America. So it was sponsored by Pepsi at that moment. So it was a league where 2-3 teams from each country, they play separate, and it was entertaining because you have another platform besides the CONCACAF Champions, right? It only lasted for 3 years and didn't go through. But as a player, I mean, because it was okay because it was another thing of showing and showing yourself in the international level. Now, like I said, if it is replacing now, if we go with UEFA and FIFA, with everything that they do is not perfect and they're not great as well, I don't think we need another league because you have all these platforms now, the UEFA Cup, the Champions League Cup, there used to be what was it called? There was another league that was sponsored the Toto Cup, which it was all like the bottom. Because I remember competing for that when I was in Poland. So it was the 5th to 8th, like the UEFA Cup, the 4th. So it's even for lower, they were competing and it was called, and then it was an option to go into another league. So like I said, I don't disagree about, getting in but what is the purpose? What it is the plan? And I think the approach was bad. I mean, they just got together, we're going to go to the league, without not asking anyone, without not consulting with it, because the idea, like I said, it might not be bad, but the approach was terrible, and it was the shortest league that we had. 2 days that lasted, and everyone started dropping out because it was not the way. Now, if they could have a different approach, I think it would be a different story. But I agree with what Ricky said about UEFA. They're not perfect. The players are complaining because, like I said, you don't need another one more. The players are complaining about games and league structure because they got 50, 60 games in a season, and then there's more competition because now you have to have pools of 40, 50 players, and it's the management for coaches. Trust me, that's not optimal because it's hard. So it's like having 2 teams within trying to do in different competitions.
And I do think it's a good thing to add too that Luis mentioned that Pepsi sponsored that league, and we are looking for sponsors. So Pepsi is not a sponsor or affiliate of Atletico TV, but if you are interested, please contact us at Atletico TV.
Pretty please. That would be excellent. My thing is, in terms of the planning aspect of it, which is what it comes down to, I think these guys, they just saw green and said, let's go for it. And I think in the end, in terms of the reasoning they gave, they were either arrogant and thinking they could get away with this and not face any backlash or have any pushback, or they were ignorant. Some of the things that especially the Real Madrid president, Florentino Perez, said about, young people are becoming more disinterested in the game. I'm here to tell you, at least, I'm just one young person, I'm here to tell you that it's flat out wrong. There's never been more soccer on platforms. You can get it basically every day, at every hour, whatever match you want. In terms of the interest, and he's talking about shortening matches, match length is one of the more appealing lengths of soccer now at this point. You don't want to go to a baseball game that's 4.5 hours. You want a soccer match when you know it's going to start and when it's going to end. I think that's the appeal. In terms of the young people, I think they've helped the game flock to social media and made it gone viral. And there's been so many great aspects to come of that. So again, I just think that either they are very out of touch, which again, if you think about it, some of these owners, you can't help but be. 3 of the owners of the Premier League clubs are Americans, and they have that kind of American, interest or aspect in terms of this game coming in, and don't realize the history of these clubs, and just don't really understand or don't want to understand about what was going on.
Do you think the Liverpool fans, Davis, did that public statement apologizing to the fans? Do you think they'll accept that?
We saw over the past week a couple of those clubs do that, and I think that in the end they're just trying to save face. And a lot of the same things were being said that, yes, we made a mistake, we weren't thinking. I'm like, I think you were. I think you knew, and that you didn't really think that in this current time with the pandemic that people could get together and force some type of change. And they were wrong. I think that this game belongs to the fans, and they showed it this past week and realized that Leicester City winning the Premier League is a cool thing, once in a while. This past weekend, Chelsea played West Ham. There's a Champions League spot on the line. But you go to this new league, Chelsea can never get relegated. What's the fun in that, honestly? And that's kind of the Americanized type concepts in these things. So, again, it just kind of goes to show how quickly it came about and how quickly it was shut down, where that idea goes. I think that in terms of the spirit of, like Luis is talking about, in terms of this idea of getting more big matches, I think there are other aspects, other parts of the season where something can be worked and something that these teams can play, maybe a preseason type thing. I know we've had the International Champions Cup here. It's just really just a big deal. You can make some money and showcase these teams, but have something closer to the end of the preseason, but maybe something a little bit more on the line, specific Champions League spots or something like that. Work with UEFA. We can come up with something, but not tearing down the fabrics of the game, I think, is the main thing.
And I think the financial piece, we get it. We understand that in the case of Real Madrid, Florentino Perez talking about, we need to, save in terms of, but when they are the ones that they started with putting all this price on players, if they can low down, I'm not saying that the players don't be low, but when you're talking about 100 million of a player, of course you want to get the return of investment of something that what you do, and you have to do it without using the players, within using another platform. So, they need to understand and sit down that they cannot be doing this amount of financial, speaking about this amount of money that they're spending on a player that sometimes, trust me, I don't know if they're worth it or not. I'm not the one that can say that about it, but I'm saying you're putting higher, and then the demands you need to, with COVID and everything, it's not good. So they need to think about those details as well.
Yeah, I definitely didn't like that. They're one of the richest clubs in the world, and everyone's going through tough times. Whereas with them, they've been spending all this money on players, where an English club in the third tier is fiscally responsible, done everything right. But because of where they're at, how big they are, they're financially struggling because of the pandemic. And they wouldn't see any of this Super League money, obviously enough, and they're struggling themselves. So yeah, it just kind of goes to show where we're at right now. This plan is not dead. Like I said, it's been officially put on hold. Obviously, they can't have a Super League with 3 clubs, but it's still out there. And this has been rumored for years, and it's something that we're going to have to continue to deal with going forward. So we'll continue to follow it, but for right now, it's been put on hold. We'll have to see. And once again, I think there are better ways about going about the game. But again, very excited for this episode. Really cool coaches breakdown this week. We're going to introduce a new person to our show, to our family here, and that's going to be very exciting, and plenty more to discuss here on Atletico TV. Okay, really excited for this week's coaches breakdown. Luis and Ricky are going to be breaking down some of the St. Louis FC training sessions from these past couple of weeks, kind of showcase what each of them, or especially Luis, has been working on with his teams as they go throughout their seasons here over these past couple of weeks. So, again, very excited to break down a couple of local teams here on the show. And again, in the future, we'll be looking for more opportunities to showcase some more local talent and what you're doing with your club. So this week, St. Louis FC Academy, coaches, take it away.
Welcome to Atletico TV's Coach's Breakdown. We are going to give you a little dab, a little taste of what's to come this summer. There's not going to be as many league games as you know, so Luis and I are coaching a lot of youth players this summer, and we've decided to break down our training sessions. So we're going to be filming our upcoming training sessions today. We have a little teaser with Luis, who's training his STLFC U19 Academy, and he's going to take us through his training session. So get out your pens, your notepads. We're about to learn from Luis Swisher. Luis, take it away.
Well, Ricky, thanks. It's just give a little bit of examples of training sessions and most of them exercises. So obviously here we're working on denying progression, trying to work on a certain roles of players of how to deny progression and they get penetrated in behind. So it's two rondos, kind of similar to two rondos. So it's a 5v3 and then two guys waiting for the assessing what the three guys in front, because they're making a pressure, and after a certain amount of passes they can join as well. And it's just like I said, to block the passing lanes and trying to get over there. The guys are defending basically are more, like I said, it's not a typical rondo. It looks like a rondo because of the formation and the way that it's structured. But basically the three guys, there's two gates. If they win it, they go directional, more directional. So basically it's for the guys in the back assessing what the guys in front are doing, and then the guys on the back what are doing.
And quickly, about what's roughly the size of the grids for the coaches?
I would say it's like 25 by 25. It's not that big. Roughly, depends at the end, the amount of players. This is a 5v3, so you need a little bit of more space. On this activity, it's just a progression to the game. The idea was because that game was about to be pressuring higher on the field, so this is more a formation exercise where you have a 6v5. The ball starts with the guys on that they're gonna defend. Is more a transition moment as well, just reading the cues for the guys that are attacking, but they're defending at this moment. It is okay. One, the ball rolls back. If you see here in the picture, rolls through the center mid. Ball every time goes up. That's a cue for us to make pressure and then keep a ball in close to goal. So the same thing, it's just a progression for the rondos, but now it is more positional based with the players, with four guys on the back, two defenders, and then we have three forwards and three center on the back. So this is a 6v6 game on that. It could be a 6v5 depending, like I said, of the objective. One of the guys go forward, the other guys go on goal. And then obviously, it is, can we translate this into the game, right? But that was another day. That was we call it game day -2. This was -3. So this one was before the other one. But you have another one. So this is more physical from the tactical periodization. This is more, the lows are more higher, but it's the same. It is how can we put on pressure the opposition, right?
What I liked about your session I was watching last night is when you guys are putting press, how well you're covering the passing lanes instead of the man. And instead, you're able to put pressure on the ball, cover the passing lanes, and force the opposition to go do what you want, right?
Yeah, and the idea as well, this is mostly, yes, we want to win it higher up the field. I'm giving some explanations over there. But if you see, it is not only making pressure for the sake of making pressure. You have to be organized. You have to be compact. And also, the roles of the guys that at this moment are attacking, they have some ideas of what the opposition we might encounter with the opposition. So if you see the game, and then this is a game also with zones, but you have neutrals on the side. The idea it is the team that is progressing, we still denying progression, but it's how can we not let the neutrals play? So we block the neutrals, and then can we win it in the central areas like that one? And then now can we transition and go? And these neutrals can go higher up the field when we transition because we need our outside backs or wing backs to go high as possible. And then you can see as well, now this is the game. Now you give it more realistic. This is just a AB8 game where now you have with roles, same thing, right? How can we apply pressure? And it's basically from zone, we call it zone 2 and their half, zone 2 and zone 3. how can we keep it on that side? And then also when we win it on the transition moment, what are we going to be capable of doing?
And I could see for younger teams that are always trying to figure out how do we incorporate our goalkeeper. This is a great session to incorporate your goalkeeper to get footwork.
Yeah, exactly. At the end is even though the role of the opposition, which is the yellows, it is what we, it will be our opposition. They're still getting repetitions and they're still getting other ideas that will help them. And like I said, is now when we do training sessions is can we translate it to the game? This is exactly the week, like I said, game day -2 and -3, meaning 3 days to the competition. And this is the competition.
And this is against Columbus Crew we were talking about last week.
So this is the 2 training sessions that you guys saw. It is 3 or 2 days prior to this. And now can we see some of the replication of our training? So the same, can we win it on the higher zones? If it is on the different zones, it's a different thing. But what we want to see is what we work, does it really work over the weekend, right? So the same thing, every time it is in that zone, can we trap and then can we win it, right? We're gonna make mistakes and we're gonna fail, but it is how many times can we put that? Like for example, this is a good pressure there, but we still got beaten, right? And then it's how in a different day, in another part of the training session is how can we connect the zones? Because also there's guys defending. So if you see here, this is kind of the replica of that rondo that we're doing. We got out. Now it's the same game gives you now what are you going to do when you get beaten, and it's how you get compact again and then winning in a different zone. But the idea it is from, like I said, when the tactical prioritization is, can we put the same scenarios that they're going to encounter over the game? If we want to build up, can I build my sessions towards that? So you can see that's exactly there. We're winning the balls in those areas, and this is what we wanted to do, right?
And you had success on this game. Did you feel it was because you guys put a lot of pressure on Columbus this game? Was that the tactic that got the result?
There's many different ways of seeing it. That there was 2 reasons. The 2 reasons were because Columbus is a team that wants to play from the back. They're super, let's say, committed to do that. They don't throw the ball. So we were gonna give them a challenge. The challenge was gonna be, can we see they tried always to play, which is their style, which is fine. That's what they teach their players. Now it is, can we put them a challenge based on what they do? And you can see, right? We won a lot of balls because of that. They were not expecting it, and then we were prepared for that, and then that's what happened. Might be versus another game that the approach could be different. But yeah, it's at the end it is, because it could be like that. Let's say the opposition, in this case Columbus, their style is like that, is to build up. There might be other times where we would like to go. So this is like the same game that we saw when the 6v6, right, is the same thing. And then we were able to get a goal from that. So it was ball going back, can we pressure, that's a cue. And then now we have them on the zone 3, which is close to goal. And then we got a reward. So that's a goal there. And that at the end, yes, we want to win games. We want to be successful. But in order to be successful and have an outcome, you need to trust in what you're doing. And at the end, if you replicate, like I said, you're going to have more opportunities to that. This is another time we lost the ball, even though we tried to build up higher. The ball goes in that direction. Is the same game that I told you about, the 6v6. It is, can we put them before they get organized? Can we put them on pressure? And then we got another goal from that. So when there's going to be moments where we're going to lose games, we're going to win games. But when you win a game, but there's a lot of actions that happen, it's rewarding, I guess. And it's just an example of that week.
We do the collegiate in the preseason, telling my players, we're high energy, we're high press, and I explain to them how important it is to be fit. Mm-hmm. What is the difference between a player that is at match fitness playing your style here and a guy who maybe comes off an injury and is not quite fit? Are they exposed more?
I think that's another good point in terms of the games that we do over the weekend, like you saw, and that's what we call it, game day -3, -2, which means 3 days prior to the competition or 2 days prior to the competition. It is the workload because it's intense. So you need to manage the times, and that's obviously it requires more on understanding a little bit more about that. But just to make it easier for everyone, it's just less work, same activity, same intensity, but less work. Let's say the amount of minutes is less. The amount of minutes on a day that is more physical, then the load is bigger. That's the difference. In order to have from, let's say it's called the tactical periodization, horizontal alternation. It's a term that it used, but it's basically from every effort that we do, there's need to be a recovery. So meaning we cannot have the same intensity on, let's say I cannot do this at the same intensity a whole week. So it has to have peaks of down and up, where that's basically what it means, yeah.
We are so blessed to have Luis's quality of coaching, and you are going to really reap the benefits of Atletico TV by getting training sessions this summer on Atletico TV. Welcome to the Atletico TV community segment. This is our favorite part of the show because we get to bring someone from the community and talk on our show and learn more about them and what they're doing for the city of St. Louis. And today is an amazing announcement that we are so excited to present to all of you today, which is our new member of Atletico TV's hosting team, Ashley Biundo. And a little background of Ashley: she's the editor-in-chief and all-around marketer, digital media journalist for the Montage Newspaper for the St. Louis Community College. That's our connection. And she has a lot of journalism experience and a soccer fan. Her father's from Palermo, Italy, so the favorite team is in the Serie A with Palermo. And we just want to welcome you to the team and to the Atletico TV community segment.
Thank you.
So to kind of get started, Ashley, why don't you tell the viewers a little bit of your soccer background, and then we'll get into your journalism.
So I started playing soccer around kindergarten and up until the end of high school. And then after high school, I started I played a little bit co-ed, indoor leagues, but I haven't really done it much since. So it's been about 14 to 15 years of soccer.
Yeah, you love the game?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's in your blood because your father's from Palermo. So when did he come over here to St. Louis?
So actually this year would be his 50th year. He moved here when he was 9. So
Okay.
my whole family moved here 50 years ago. Well, half of my family. I still have family over there. It's 50 years ago.
Yeah. So who's your favorite player from Palermo? You follow it pretty closely?
Oh God, I have no idea.
That's all right. And getting into now a little bit of your journalism background, tell us, your experience there with the Montage.
So I actually started journalism when I started college because my cousin was on the newspaper and she brought me on. I started off as a photographer, but mainly in the sports, and then I got into writing and all that, and I just kind of stuck with sports journalism.
And you, so your role there is to interview and photos. You're really great at the photos and digital media and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I do that. I also design the paper.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot for it.
Yeah, that's great. And so you grew up here in St. Louis?
Yeah.
In the South County area?
Yeah, Fenton, Jefferson County.
Yeah. And what do you enjoy? I mean, you come out to a lot of college soccer games to see you out there. I mean, tell us your love for the game.
Oh God.
Why do you love it so much?
I guess because it's just I played it for so long that I miss it. So I come to a lot of the games, just try to get a feel of it, even though I'm not playing. I actually could have played this year, but I'm not considered a full-time student, so I couldn't.
And you watch soccer, and you follow the women's game?
Yeah, I tried to.
Mm-hmm.
I just so I work a couple jobs, so I'm always too busy, but I do kind of keep up with it, scoring wise, mainly just for the U.S. women's team.
Yeah, and they just won that. What cup was that, Luis? I'm drawing a blank on that.
The women's?
Yeah.
Is it She Believes?
Yeah,
Yes,
She Believes Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think about the women's team and their young players coming up?
Oh my God, I absolutely love it. Just seeing all the younger players moving up and being successful and just like playing pro because
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah, and the women's game's definitely changed from when you were playing till now, right?
Yes.
And it's really been growing in the NWSL or WSL. So, coming on to the show, what we're going to see, what the viewers are going to see with Ashley is popping in and out of segments. You're a big St. Louis City fan. Tell us why you're excited about having a hometown team.
I mean, I followed along with St. Louis FC, but then I heard that they were, like, they kind of, like, I can't think of the right word.
They closed down, basically.
Yeah. And, like, they were right by my house, so it's like we would go to a lot of the games, and I don't know, just having, like, MLS here, I'm just super excited for, like, I have so much of, like, St. Louis SC gear already.
Yeah. That's great. Is your father excited?
Yeah.
Is he got season tickets, planning to go to games?
Me and my sister did that $50 one to where we can get season tickets, but it's like it's going to be a bit.
So I'm just interested to know about the the soccer culture that you grew up with. With it's just to have a father who's from Italy and have the roots there. I just can't imagine. I mean, did you ever go to Italy and watch a game or anything like that?
Nothing like professional. I've been there like when I graduated high school as my graduation gift. I went there for a month with my nonna, and I would watch like my cousin play.
Your cousin, is he a professional player?
No, it was like for his like league.
Okay.
He's a couple years younger, but just like seeing it, like how different it is from over here and there.
Okay, I see. What can you tell our viewers where to find you, and what would you like to add?
So the newspaper that I'm a part of, the website is merrimackmontage.com, where you can like see all like the sports stories that I write and can, like keep up to date on like athletics at Merrimack, and then where I post like all of my sports pictures, it's like on flickr.com, and then you would just search my name under people, and I have pretty much over almost 50,000 photos on there, and it's 1.5 million views.
Wow, that's great. Luis?
So I got a question. What's your favorite player in women and men's side?
Retired or still playing?
All right, whatever works for you.
So my biggest inspiration ever since I was a little girl that I wanted to be was Mia Hamm,
Okay,
as I'm like wearing her jersey.
I can see that. That's why I asked the question.
But playing now, I would probably say like Megan Rapinoe.
Nice. Well, there was the community segment, and we're happy to have you here, and we'll see you next time.
Okay, for this segment, I got Luis and Ashley's back with us. We're going to talk a little bit about St. Louis City SC and some of the things that are going on with them in their club. This weekend, I had the opportunity to go see the academy trial for their upcoming academy team. Really cool to see some of the kids come out and participate in this, and it was a really cool opportunity to talk to sporting director Lutz Vanenschiel and get his thoughts on how things have been going. And real quickly, just want to play a clip from some of his thoughts basically from this weekend so far, how the academy has been going.
Yeah, I mean, this is so far the biggest trial, two groups of 60 kids, 120. But I think you see that's the beautiful thing about an open trial, that really everybody shows up, tries his best. And there's definitely some talent out there as well. It's not just about having already that experience, it's more about the potential, about the athleticism, the pure talent, and I think this is what we're trying to spot here today.
So it was a really cool opportunity, again, just kind of pick his brain a little bit about this process. This is the second trial that they've had so far. They'll have an additional one here this upcoming Saturday, and then I believe he talked a little bit about having one more additional one in terms of some of the kids that were unable to come out. I got some more quotes from him here. It was, again, just cool to see and talk to him a little bit about the process and what they were looking for in these types of players. One of the things he talked a little bit about, I asked him if they were looking for a specific skill set in these trials, or if they're looking for specific things from the players. He talked a little bit about and said it would be unfair to focus on certain skills in such a short amount of time. It's more getting an overall view of their general skills. We'll keep it basic and simple, lots of play time, lots of time with the ball, and then we can move the more talented boys into the next level. That's what kind of struck me, Luis. I kind of want to ask you a little bit about your process since you're with an academy and you've kind of gone through this thing with tryouts and getting players. This trial was kind of surprising to me just to see it was not as, really intense as I thought it would be. Lots of drills, lots of observation. This was more of a general thing. I saw certain boys, doing a shooting drill. I saw some playing a little bit of a short-sided 7v7 type of scrimmage. And I wanted to ask your thoughts in terms of evaluations of players. Where do you come down on terms of that process, in terms of how you separate certain players when you're trying out for your academy team?
Well, yeah, it's always a challenge, especially when you have 60 kids or in one level and then another bout of 60, another one. So it's, I think that the first stage of a process on the tryouts, it is, can you see the most of what do you expect on a general, like I said, not as specific, but more general in terms of what's their type of personality, what type of, who stands up more within their groups. It's tough because, like I said, you have a lot. And if you're good, you stand up really quick, right? And then you're basically separating those players and how they interact within those small-sided games. I think the idea from this is get a few players from that and then keeping in the process and then following them on the next trial. Let's say if there's another one. If it is not, then can they bring a few from that group with the final group and then trying to see because they kind of have an idea what players are, what they're looking for. It's just to match this. Are this capable to get into the other environment?
Another real thing that struck me in talking with him in terms of this process, because people think, oh, this is an MLS club, this is huge. They might have certain standards of that nature. And at least from the time being, from what I saw, this was an open trial where you had varying different levels of experience from the players. You had players who play club soccer, some who haven't played very much organized soccer, and are just getting this opportunity because of the resources they have at their disposal. And I asked him in terms of their philosophy with this process. He said, we know that MLS Next for us will kick off late summer/early autumn, so by then we need to be ready. It's still an ongoing process. I believe in an open door policy, so you're never really out. There's always an opportunity to come back in. If a kid missed out for whatever reason, there's always a way to be scouted and to come back into the system. And I think that's really important, It's really tough right now, this process with the pandemic still, and getting the word out about the academy team, because everybody's always focused on the first team and what we're going to do in MLS, but this is an important part of the club. And I thought it was really cool to at least hear from him that, we're not excluding people at this point. We're still trying to get a general overview of things, and we're trying to find, the best possible kids at this moment and the best possible way we can. I thought that was really cool to hear about the open door policy of it. And is that kind of a mentality that you've had a little bit with your academy team in terms of overall scouting, always keeping an open eye?
Yeah, well, we're the same. The difference is, we're a system of a pay-to-play model, and this is not a pay-to-play model. So the difference is you're going to have more kids that they don't have the financial piece to pay. And then you have a lot of players that are underrated. They're under the radar that you can't see because they cannot approach because they say, well, I can't afford it. Different than when they come to us, they can't afford it. So they said, now this is free. This is a different setup. So you're gonna have more kids that they want to be there because now you have to, the only thing that you have to do is show up and be good. So you have that opportunity, the open opportunity, and that's the difference between, let's say, the MLS and our club. Now, like I said, it's like he said, right? And it's an ongoing process. You're not gonna get right away 10, 15 players from that process, but there's gonna be a follow-up for sure. Now they have a database as well. They probably know in which clubs they so in the future what's gonna happen it is when you do those things, at least for me, and that's part of the talent ID and the talent scouting part, it is there's gonna be kids that they're not ready now, and that's what we always said to the players. If you might not make it now, so it should be the responsibility of the clubs to follow up because there might be a player that didn't have a good moment, didn't have a good day. It could be a great player, but you're looking right away, like I said, in a period of 2 hours. That's the most challenging thing for a coach. For them, it's just a general thing because it will come from the follow-up. It will come from, okay, if we saw something but we don't think that you're at that level, and you're playing in a amateur league, or you're playing in a youth league, whatever you're playing, there's gonna be a follow-up. I think that's the most important part, so to see how they're performing, and then in the future maybe they can join in the academy.
Great perspective. Ashley, I want to bring you in here to talk a little bit about the first team and when they debut in 2023. You talked a little bit about your excitement for it. Talking to Lutz a little bit, it's tough right now. Obviously, they're still a few years away, so it's not like they can bring in players because those things will look a little bit different in a few years. But in terms of when they get out there, obviously it'll be a brand new stadium, and that'll be really cool. But in terms of what you're excited about most with the team, what are you looking forward to when we get an MLS team here in a couple of years?
What I'm most excited about is just how having MLS in St. Louis, since it's a huge soccer city, and it's just with my background in soccer and how much I love it, I'm just so excited to have a professional team here.
Yeah, I think talking to Lutz, he mentioned something when I asked him about what he's looking for in the team. He said, we want to have a reflection of the Midwestern lifestyle and philosophy. I think that's what some people are looking forward to here. And obviously, St. Louis is a great soccer city, so we can go a little bit more hardcore in that area. You also talked about St. Louis FC and going to a lot of those matches there in terms of enjoying yourself and what you liked from there. What are you kind of hoping translates over to the MLS team? What were your favorite parts of St. Louis FC that you hope still remain when we get here an MLS team here in a couple of years?
Honestly, just the atmosphere and just how they're playing. Even though they're not going to be they're not playing in Fenton, they're playing in downtown St. Louis, so it's a little farther drive, but it would be worth it.
I think so. I'm excited to see basically can we take what St. Louis FC was and expand upon it, and make it bigger and continue to do the good parts of it, because there's a lot of great things that they did. Set up, play on the field, of course. The past couple of years they were really good, and also just some of the things they were able to do with the community. I think that's an important aspect of what St. Louis City is trying to do here with the academy, is be community oriented and get these types of players. We don't know how many players are going to come from this thing, but the fact that they're trying, and hopefully one or two guys, would be really cool stories to see them join up here with the academy team. I think would be an excellent opportunity. And again, it's just very exciting to see, just to go out and see the logo and to see the officials out there. Again, Tim Twellman, Charles Rankin, Elvir Hivicic was out there as well. And it was just exciting to see them go through this process of trying to identify players for this team. So, again, something that we're going to continue to look for here. Like I said, there'll be an academy trial this weekend. I think there'll be one more. And again, Luis, you'll be seeing these guys quite soon. In a couple of months in MLS next.
Yeah.
At a couple of different levels. What are you thinking about that?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting when they get it with everything within academy. There's going to be obviously the soccer landscape at the youth level, which even though it's academy, still youth, is going to change with MLS. The interesting part will be how the other clubs will collaborate, how and that's including us, how everything is going to go, because at the end it is, like Ashley mentioned, it will be the professional level. We don't have any more San Luis FC, so they become now where all the players want to be. Now I think at the end it is, we want to have a great atmosphere in terms of collaborating with them. Because at the end, that's what the players will probably end. If you're a kid that want to be a pro, you want him here at home. You don't want him to go to FC Dallas. You don't want him to go to Kansas, Sporting Kansas. So you have the opportunity. So for us in the younger ages is to help develop and to collaborate with MLS. But it will change for sure, because in this case, San Luis FC and Gallagher, which it's not gonna be now anymore one of the top. It will be, you will have something on top. So are we prepared for the next step in terms of collaboration, in terms of competing as well, because you're competing but you're collaborating. So it's a huge piece, and that's not only us. That's the other clubs like Lou Fuse, like JV Marine, like all the clubs, local clubs in the area, that they are now thinking, okay, now we have this, how can we help to put in front of the players to the professional level, right?
Well, guys, it's been a pleasure talking with you today. Luis, thank you so much for bringing in, again, your clips of your training sessions that we were able to break down. Looking forward to seeing more of that. And of course, good luck again with this weekend upcoming here with your guys in your clubs. Ashley, we're really excited for you to join our show and bring a fresh perspective to it. Maybe throw out a little bit of Italian. This is as Italian as I get, unfortunately. So, but no, we're really excited to have you on board and look forward to seeing you again here next week. And we thank you all again for watching another episode of Atletico TV. Thanks to our producers here, Key, and of course also thanks to Travis and Monk back there running the board. Thank you to the local network here, STL, for helping us provide a platform for this show. And again, for Ricky, I'm Josh McGee. Thank you so much. And this has been another episode of Atletico TV.